Realtors, if you're running ads, you're either building out the pipeline or setting cash on fire. And the biggest mistake, thinking that one platform is going to be the magic pill that's going to solve it. Some swears like Facebook ads and with this like $2 leads, and some swears like Google ads and higher intent and whatever that is. And so in this video, I'm going to break down which is actually better and most importantly, which actually makes you money. So let's break it down. Okay, so let's start with the core foundations, because ultimately the success behind this platform is going to depend on the foundations behind the ads on these platforms. Okay, the first thing, neither one is perfect, and I want you to understand this concept because this is super important. If you don't understand this, you're going to be sold into thinking that one platform is going to be the magic pill that's going to fix your business. Ultimately, both Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, you name it, whatever, every single platform has their pros and their cons. There's no magic pill, okay? Now, and you're probably wondering now, okay, like if both have pros and cons, like is there one platform that's actually better? And the answer is no. There's no winner. There's no like number one, number two, number three, right? That's marketing, right? So what I'm gonna discuss in this video and want to preface it here is which platform should you pick based on your specific situation. That's what's gonna make the difference, right? Because of course there are some core differences, but that doesn't mean that one is better than the other, okay? Now the second thing, neither works if your follow-up processes are terrible, right, or garbage. If your follow-up process are like you call them twice, or whether you or I say you call them twice, they don't pick up, you quit, then no matter what platforms you use, you literally cannot win. Because the biggest thing behind these ads, behind running paid ads in general, is number one, like it requires a ton of testing without being emotional. It requires like time, like ultimately it requires money to work. Like people think, oh, I'm gonna run these ads and boom, people are gonna come in after the first 3 weeks and running the ads, but that ads are not like that, right? You're literally buying the ability to buy listings or to buy buyers. That is not something that can be acquired cheaply, right? Ultimately, no matter if people sell you the $2 Facebook leads, the fact that you're acquiring $2 Facebook leads is other cost behind that, right? So nothing is really perfect or nothing is really shiny as it looks, right? But the second thing is, again, you gotta follow when you're running ads on any sort of platform. You're first and foremost, my question is, what are the follow-up processes behind the ads? Because if those are not in place, you cannot literally close any deal. Impossible. The second thing, the third thing actually, neither platform is gonna get you quote unquote ready people. I keep hearing this like, oh, I want ready leads and I want ready sellers, and guess what? Everyone wants ready sellers. Everyone wants ready buyers. They're gonna move tomorrow, but that doesn't exist, right? That is a myth, right? And so it's better if you approach this journey with the right mindset about this stuff. Like there's no if you think critical about these three things, like neither is perfect, neither works if your follow-up process is already one step ahead, because now you're not going to quit after 3 days because the ads are not getting released, because you know that's normal, you know that it requires testing, etc., etc. That said, like I'm saying here, there are some core differences behind them, and so I'm gonna break this down now. So let's start with Meta, right? So Meta uses the first thing you gotta understand about Meta is that it uses interest-based targeting, not search intent. But that doesn't mean like that Meta is like, you know, showing your ad to random people who have like zero clue about like Meta is one of probably the best algorithm actually out there. And so interest means that you're picking specific interests. For example, I don't know, somebody interested in real estate appraisal, right? If you're running a home valuation ad. But ultimately, of course, this interest is like not necessarily means that every single person in these interests is gonna need evaluation. For example, if we're talking to homeowners, right? Or another thing that you can do, you can have Google spreadsheet with 10,000 homeowners, feed that to the algorithm, and have it look like audience with people that look like exactly like those homeowners in the list that, that's good data, right? If you have a good data about that, you can create an audience specifically with those homeowners that match specific criterias. But ultimately, like the biggest difference is that you're not targeting keywords. You're not targeting people that are searching for that. You're not targeting people that are searching for, maybe buying a home or homes for sale and XYZ. It's a little different on that. And that produces and with that being said, with Meta, there is by far cheaper cost per lead than Google, right? $3 to $10 per lead buyers and 20 to 25 sellers. Now, again, it's not just about the platform here. It's just, okay, like if you run a Facebook form, of course you get $3 leads, but who wants those leads? Like you don't even have the address, pre-filled information 10 years ago. So that cost per lead, technically, to me, my book, it doesn't exist, right? Because it exists, yes, but you're not gonna convert any of those. Like 1 out of a 2,000, pre-fill information 10 seconds. So ultimately, I would say probably $9-10 per buyers and $10-25 per sellers is a good range. And then ultimately, the best thing about Meta that I personally like is that if you've never run any ads and you go on Google, the problem is that if you're not experienced, right, you're gonna run into a long feedback loop cycle. Meaning you might run ads for a month and get garbage for a month and think, oh, Google Ads doesn't work, boom, quit, and then you're gonna get results at all. And so the thing you need to understand is even with Meta, there is a feedback loop, right? But with Meta, ultimately, it's just faster. So with Meta, you might just post ads, run ads, and you might get a decent cost per lead week 2, which is not bad, right? Now I'm gonna break down the cons. The 2 biggest cons with Meta. Number 1, you gotta be experienced to find the sweet spot between friction and volume to be profitable, okay? This is key. If you don't find the sweet spot between friction and volume, you're not gonna be profitable. What I'm saying is, you cannot just get $3 leads if your cost per appointment is through $1,000. You gotta find that sweet spot, and it takes time. It takes testing, and it takes knowledge of which metrics you're looking at, right? Because if you care about CPMs, for example, cost per 1,000 impressions, that's gonna lead you places that are ultimately not gonna lead you the right way, right? You gotta know what you're looking for, right? Most importantly. And then the second thing is it needs dialed in follow-up systems. If you approach Meta more than Google, right, with 0 to none follow-up systems, you're going to fail. Because fundamentally, the lower the cost per lead, the higher the follow-up systems, the more the follow-up systems need to be dialed in, right? That's the key. Now with Google, I'm gonna break this down. Main pros about Google is that you're essentially getting people that are actually searching for that real time. For example, homes for sale in XYZ or home valuation in XYZ. But that doesn't mean that they're gonna sell tomorrow. Most people conflate the two. And by conflating the two, you're making a big mistake. Because again, it does mean if I search for something, it doesn't mean I'm gonna buy that thing. So ultimately, again, Google is not the magic pill either, right? But the fact that they're searching for it implies that there's a slightly higher intent, like I say here, and maybe the lead to appointment ratio percentage is higher. So maybe, I don't know, you get X amount of leads, the amount of leads that actually turn into an appointment is higher. So ultimately, you all need to balance that into what's the final CPA, cost per appointment, and then what you typically Google tends to be more expensive, but that doesn't mean the cost per appointment is higher. But what that means is that to fund the longer learning phase in the beginning, you might need extra cash. And so if you're starting on thinking, oh, I'm going to spend $300 on Google, see if that works, it's never going to work. Even Facebook is not going to work with $300. The thing about ads is that, again, you're buying the ability to buy buyers, buy sellers, whatever that is. And that is not acquired cheaply. Again, now the main cons about Google,
Number one is that per lead is going to be by far more expensive than Facebook, right? Depending on, of course, how much friction you put into the survey and the landing page. Of course, if your Google Ads is like landing page, naming a number, you might get a cost which is even similar to Facebook, but the leads are garbage because it's just in naming a number. The same logic applies, right? And then the second thing, it requires a higher budget, like I said here, to exit out of the learning phase. And then it requires a strong landing page to convert clicks. But then I would say probably similar to Meta, like, again, even with Meta, right? For example, my clients, if I'm going to run Meta, I'm not going to use a Facebook. I'm always going to use a funnel landing page. And so either way. So now, with all this information, like which one should you actually pick? Right? Because that's a good question. Like, which one should I actually pick now that I know pros and cons? Well, it depends on three main things. Budget, right? How dialed in your follow-up system are actually, like how you dialed in your follow-up systems actually are. And then lastly, scaling, meaning ultimately either way, if you want to truly scale to a high level, let's say you want to build out a team with 20 agents, a few of those agents, you need both, right? You need both. You need to be omnipresent. You want to even go YouTube ads. If you want to scale, you don't necessarily stay on one. Like the ultimate goal is that you are everywhere fundamentally, and that you take all the pros of the different platforms and you balance those with all the different columns, right? That's the goal. Now, in the sense of budget, I would say if we do ads, if you have at least probably 1,500 to 2,000 a month, it's tough. It's tough to even exit out the learning phase, and depending on the market, I would say probably 2,000 a month is safe with Google Ads, right? And of course, buyers are going to be cheaper than sellers, and that is the case with Facebook Ads too, right? Facebook Ads, I would say probably $900 a month is the minimum. But with that, you're gonna get a really good amount of leads. 900 is like really good amount to start with. I want to say it's a minimum. People say it's $20 a day, the minimum. I would never advise people to go 20 because you can spend 20 a day, you definitely get a ton of leads, but that doesn't mean you get enough leads to fund your cost per acquisition, how much it costs in your specific market to get a deal. So if you want to be safe, I would spend $30 a day, and with Facebook, that's a pretty solid amount. With Google, you definitely need to go higher. But ultimately, I would say probably for most people, like the good thing about Facebook is that it has a faster feedback loop. So it allows you to test things faster. So that's what I personally like about that. It's just, you don't need to wait a month to see it going. Like you can just, like the first few days, you get a feedback. You have feedback. Are people liking the ad? Are people clicking? What's going wrong? And also, again, if you don't know what you're looking at, you're gonna fail. Like that's the thing, right? So you need ultimate experience with those. But how do you get experience? You start spending cash either way. Because for me, like I burn my own cash and I work with a ton of clients to generate a ton of leads to ultimately learn this stuff, right? And so either way, if you want to start running your own ads, you gotta start either way, right? So I wouldn't say necessarily don't overthink this. Again, neither is really the magic PO. I would say probably if you're on a lower budget, probably Facebook is easier to start with. So because it doesn't have such a long feedback cycle. And then lastly, scaling, like I said, like with follow-up systems, you need follow-up systems with both, for sure. But like with Google Ads, it's probably easier, I would say, to like the lead to conversation ratio is probably higher. So you don't need to put that much emphasis on the follow-up systems, especially in the beginning. But either way, with Google Ads, again, it doesn't mean that if they're searching for it, they're going to buy tomorrow. So if your follow-up systems long-term are not dialed in, you're going to lose a ton of people, right? And so I would say either way, before running any sort of ads, you need to make sure your sequence, like 0 to 7, 0 to 14, 0 to 21 is dialed in, and then you can go and crush it with ads. And then scaling, like I said, omni-channel, all that jazz. So that's what, those are the three main criteria in which you should pick the platform. But ultimately, if you want us to help you make this decision and work with you and, you know, scale your own ads and run your own ads and, you know, build out a, you know, listing acquisition system for you, then click the link below, book a call with my team or with me, and we'll speak together, see if it's a good fit. And then if it is, then happy to work our asses off for you so we can get you some good results. That being said, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you inside the next video.